Hi guys, thank you for joining us once again. Welcome to Property Love, your favorite property channel where we discuss all things real estate, all things property within our country and the rest of the continent. So today I'm very excited as I'll be in conversation with a property lover like myself, someone who's passionate about property, someone who's got skin in the game, an innovator, an entrepreneur at heart, and also a founder and a CEO of SAHIF, which stands for South African Housing Infrastructure Fund. Mr. Rali Mampeule. Rali, how are you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Good, thank you. Thank you for joining us.
No problem. You're welcome. It's good to be here.
Great. I mean, Rali, your story, which is very inspirational, which touches on a lot of people, especially as black practitioners within the space. It's very inspirational. It's very moving. It really crosses a lot of boundaries. I mean, you. If I had to touch on just quickly on your journey, you started as somebody who's selling Boerewors rolls on the side of the corner.
Yes.
I mean, that's amazing. In Joburg somewhere, and ended up being a property agent, and then on top of that, owning a couple of property agencies, Ches Everett's, if I'm right.
Yeah.
And then, of course, right now, as a founding CEO of SAHIF, where you guys buy land parcels, and you develop, I think, a zone for agricultural. Now rezoning them to residential and getting them ready for building, or for residential. I mean, take us through the whole journey. I mean, it's very interesting.
When you go through these things, you don't even think it's really a journey. It's like just waking up in the morning and going to work. So I think you've summed it up very well, but it was quite exciting for me because it was almost like, if you wake up in the morning and you're going to work, so as you said, I was selling the Boerewors rolls while I was studying for my BCom with UNISA in Kalami, and I had an opportunity to meet Charles Everett, who was obviously the owner of Ches Everett International Property Group. I started to work with him as an assistant estate agent, doing drops in the northern suburb of Johannesburg, and those are some of the leaflets that you'll get underneath your door. And that was quite exciting for me, and meeting up with dogs and barking at me and all of that. But I had the passion, and I really loved real estate. This was during the time where I was reading Donald Trump. While he was still in real estate. Fast forward, I worked as an agent, and obviously I bought a franchise from them. And
how did that come about? Sorry, if you don't mind me asking. In terms of actually, that's a very interesting point you just touched on. I mean, a lot of black people or people same as us, when they try to get into these spaces, finance is always an issue. So how did you go over that hurdle?
So for me, it was more natural, but I had to, after a while, we all went and studied, and you realize what you were doing was actually called bootstrapping. At that time I didn't know what it was really, but bootstrapping in a way that basically you try and get funding from or angel money. These are the people that really believe in you and trust in you. But how I did the deal with the average was that during those times, I think their franchise was something like R1 million or so, and during those times you could actually get a McDonald's with that type of franchise with that type of money. But I had an opportunity to negotiate with the average and said, look, I want to buy the franchise. I don't have the money now, but I want to do a deal where you can give me at least about a year to pay it off, so I can get on the ground. And I then gave 20% shareholding to my brother and one of the CEOs of Ches Everett franchise sales guy, and they had 20%, and they actually came up with a bit of working capital for me to swap that 20% shareholding. But the plan was quite simple, to say we're going to hit the ground. Once I'm in, I'm going to have to obviously buy them out. Because I'm an entrepreneur, I want to move on my own, I want to make decisions on my own. And we had an opportunity then to work, and sold a big development, and I managed to then obviously buy out my partners,
your funders,
and obviously paid off the franchise, and then it got more exciting, and we got more franchises in the country, and that's how it happened.
So how many franchises did you guys actually manage?
So After we had about more than 5 franchises
Yeah.
that we had bought at that point in time, and we obviously sold those franchises individually, and went ahead to start buying some kind of agricultural pieces of land around the country, and they were
Yeah.
quite affordable at that point in time.
Okay. So that's when the entrepreneurial bug bit you again.
Yeah,
Took a risk.
Yeah, we took the risk. We looked at obviously buying those agricultural piece of land, but like any other entrepreneur, I went on my own, started my own brand called Rali Properties, and
Okay.
we had an opportunity. I mean, let me just go back and say that what had happened is that as I was owning the first franchise of Chairs Everett, I met a developer who was doing a development in Midrand.
Okay.
And basically I said to him, Jerry, I want to buy the whole development for about, I think it was about 26 million rand.
Yeah.
And obviously at that point in time I was driving my mother's Cressida. She
Okay.
just retired as a teacher.
Yeah.
And I borrowed her car so that I can use it to be able to sell houses.
Okay, yeah.
And he was like, no man, how are you going to get 28 million rand? And at that point I didn't have that type of money.
Yeah, yeah.
But I knew that the market was great. This was during the time where with one salary you can be able to buy about 4-5 units using one salary before the NCA.
In the wrong times.
Yeah. But
So you could literally go from one bank to another,
To another
the
bank.
same salary, and they'll give you a loan.
exactly.
So there was no reference checking at the time, I guess.
Well, what they did, I mean, they'll check obviously, your financial status, but
Yeah.
it was not illegal to use the same
okay,
salary
yes.
to apply to the 5
Okay.
institutions that were
Yeah,
in the country
yeah.
at that point in time. But I saw an opportunity to say I can help other people to become
Yeah.
property investors. So I had a property luncheon, and I invited a couple of guys that were really doing well at that point in time, and I showed them how they can be able to buy multiple family homes properties using one salary.
Yeah, yeah.
And I then used the different guarantees that I got from the sales to be able to pay off Jerry Baker, and I made myself a good profit,
Wow.
which
Yeah.
has then helped me to obviously
Yeah.
pay off and buy out my partners, and
Yeah.
and then that's where we had a bit of money to be able to start buying land.
Yeah.
But we obviously then moved on and started looking at opportunities like any other entrepreneur, where we started looking at doing some township shopping centers, some commercial properties, and build a little bit of a portfolio, which we then later on offloaded.
Okay.
And
Under Rally Properties.
yeah, under other properties. And then, that's the space that we played for the couple of years. And yeah,
Yeah. That's very interesting. Very inspirational. risk all the way.
yeah.
But look, it paid off.
Yeah, but I mean, I always say to young people to say, this is the time when you're still young
Yeah.
to be able to look at taking some risk.
Yeah.
Especially if, maybe you're not yet married or something like that. But even if you're married, but as a young person, you should be taking some kind of calculated risk,
Yeah.
so that you can be able to better your business opportunities and
course,
business
yeah.
life. Yeah.
Of course. No, that's really, really great. So now moving into then you moved on and obviously founded the Housing Infrastructure Fund,
Yeah.
which, as I said earlier on, you buy land parcels, and then do you offload them into? Okay, first maybe the first question would be, I mean, did you get these land parcels at a song? At a particular time, do you think that those land parcels are still around, or it's quite difficult now? So you guys would then. My follow-up question would be that you buy them, you get them. Do you put infrastructure into them so that they're ready to be built, or do you just offload them onto the government? Obviously, assuming that the government would be your primary customer.
Yeah. So it's quite interesting, and one of the things that I think, and maybe we'll talk about transformation later on, but
Yeah.
I think the key thing in the industry is about training. So I
Yeah.
had an opportunity to get a lot of training, and we travel around the world when I was still an estate agent doing a couple of training. So one of the best training that I've ever had was from the Everetts, and we did some courses in the US where it was one of the topics was about land assembling, and we did a case study about how Disney World assembled their land,
Okay.
and how they'll make sure that when they buy land, sometimes they'll come and buy a piece of land, actually using a company that nobody knows, because people will then want to charge them more money. So that case study was quite interesting, how they assemble land. And most of it, they were buying it as an agricultural piece of land. So, being inspired from a training, which I think as young people in South Africa, in terms of property, we should actually look at more on training than complaining about transformation. Because if you get this training and the skills, you'll find a way to maneuver around even where there are red tapes. So, after having done that case study, when I got back to the country, I was excited, and I just done this big deal with Jerry Baker, and then we then just went and started to assemble land around Ekurhuleni and some kind of some in the Sasolburg area in Free State at a song, and also bought some properties on auctions that were in liquidation and all of that. And the aim of it was to just make sure that in the next couple of years we can be able to unpack that land and be able to develop it or offload it. So SAHIV, which is then for South African Housing and Infrastructure Fund, was then formed, and the aim of it was obviously to accelerate the delivery of affordable housing in South Africa.
The backlog.
The backlog. I mean, you might be aware that we are having a 2 million people in this country that still need to get housing. So actually, we are in a housing crisis as a country, and we wanted to help with it as well. I had an opportunity to work with some listed companies like Atak, where we did an office block in Waterfall. So we did all those lovely stuff that we all see on TV and the Trump towers and all of that. But we then offloaded and sold that portfolio and made sure that we can invest more into this fund. So we created this 15.3 billion rand fund, and essentially, as I said, we're accelerating delivery of affordable housing. We don't necessarily build the actual houses. What we do, we buy agricultural piece of land. We go through the process of moving it from agriculture into a township establishment. So that means different elements. So it means that we have to go and apply with the municipality for things like geotech, environmental impact studies, do all the civil engineering reports and rezoning and all of that. So we will do all of that and get it ready, then put the actual services, so your water, sewer, and roads and electricity. So the land will then be ready and being subdivided for anyone. So what we then do, we then offload that land as a township to listed companies like your Cosmopolitan, Calgro, Human Settlement, which is a government department.
I think M3 as well. I think they're going to
so any of the people that are playing in the affordable housing space will then offload to them as a ready piece of land, because a lot of people don't like to do land banking because it's quite expensive. So we had an opportunity to have got the piece of land the portfolios that we had at a good price a couple of years back. So we could afford to be able to be in a position to do land banking. It's been an amazing model where to date we've created about 6 townships, of the sizes of Davidton.
Is huge.
So we've sold one in Danato. We did Danato is in Ekurhuleni, where it was about 700 hectares. That is going to have more than 16,000 people staying homes, and the impact that it will happen is quite big. And we did the same in Free State, where we had about 2 townships and of almost the same size, and also one in Mpumalanga. So we're quite excited and looking and see if we can be able to help the country with this crisis.
Sure, no, that is really, really exciting. I mean, I think that's what the country needs at the moment. I mean, we need somebody that can come in there fast track, because that housing backlog is very big.
That's very big. And there's a saying, and doesn't mean to offend anyone, but says that as I said, we come from the space where we did this amazing development in places like Waterfall. But they say that build for the poor, you live with the rich, and build for the rich, you live with the poor. So we're quite excited and while doing that, make an impact. Really helping people with housing.
No, great. So you touched on a little bit on a subject that I'm very passionate about, transformation, of course. Within the industry, we know that the wheels of transformation are very slow. They're turning in a very slow pace. But like as you said, education, and more training is what we need.
Yeah.
And I know that you are currently or have been in the past involved with the South African Black Property Institution of Black Practitioners.
Yeah.
And you guys were helping, I think, university students, or were you funding university students?
Yeah.
Please elaborate more on that.
So, I mean, obviously, as you had the background where we come from, and what does this all mean? So I then, obviously, I won a couple of awards in 2005 and 2006, the South African Property Professional of the Year, as part of my
Forbes as well.
All those accolades. But I then went back and said, look, I started my own foundation, which is in two elements. One of the elements is called the Rali Mampeule Learnership, and the other one is my family foundation. But on the learnership, basically what we're doing there is to bring new blood into the old vein of real estate. And how we do that is that we help youngsters by giving them bursaries to go study courses in real estate. But we also have partnered with the South African Institute of Black Property Practitioners, SABIP, where they have a partnership with the University of Cape Town, where they're training young entrepreneurs about real estate. So this year we're giving about 10 students to be able to go and study real estate. My take is quite simple in transformation, to answer your question. I think, I was listening to the CEO of the EAB speaking a couple of days ago, actually, about transformation, and the numbers that she was speaking, those are the numbers that I heard about 18 years ago, when I started into the industry. No, in terms of black participation. So during those times, 18 years ago, we were still under 5,000 black estate agents. And she then obviously broke it down into how many are principals and how many are agents. And it's quite scary. And obviously the EAB is coming up with certain ways on how we can address transformation. But my key thing is to say, I think we need to focus into training. I think if we've got the training, we've got the skills, as I mentioned earlier on, we can find ways to maneuver around in terms of saying, if there are any red tapes and blockages, if you've got training and the skills, you'll know how to go around it. Because I think it's quite difficult now for us to sort of, our generation at least, to want to go back to during those times of apartheid. I mean, that's not going to help us right now. We're finding ourselves in the space that we are in, and I think we can find ways to swim out of this by simply getting training and the skills. And I think then we can get young people that can also build good businesses in this real estate space.
So with that being said, then my next question would be to you then with young people that want to get into the industry, what would be your advice, and for anybody else who's also in the industry, but that are faced with a little bit of bureaucracy there and there and ceilings and so forth in the industry, how would you guide people in terms of where to go? If they want to start in this industry, and where are the opportunities and so forth?
So my advice is quite simple. I'll say all the time, when you leave home, carry a pair of scissors. So that just cut the red tape wherever you go. Literally. But I think. Well, first of all, I think the South African Institute of Black Property Practitioners is really passionate about making a change in the sector, bringing new blood into the old vein of real estate. And I think there's a lot of programs, where you can be able to get involved. There's a lot of courses. We'll be announcing in the next 30 days a big training academy that's going to help estate agents in terms of training. Because there's a couple of elements in real estate where, real estate is not about just selling houses, as we spoke earlier on, that you can go different angles. But we're going to be announcing this big training academy that is going to help people in terms of training. Because I'm telling you now, transformation, it's all great and we can talk about it. We've been speaking about it. We've been in this sector for under 20 years. The only thing we can do is training. That's it. And So I think there's bursaries that are available through our learnership,
Yeah.
through SABIB. The EAB's got the one learner, one agent programs. So there's a lot of programs and internships and fellowships that are out there, and all you have to do is to go on the internet and Google real estate
Yeah.
learnership training and all of that. And there are people like ourselves and others who are in the space that
Yeah.
can also help with mentoring.
Yeah.
Because my take is very simple with transformation. Currently, the economy is not doing well. And for us to be expecting that a listed company that maybe is not doing well can look at helping another person.
Yeah.
Realistically, I don't think that's going to happen. We
It's
can
a
say
business
it
after all,
as
yeah.
a business after all.
Yeah.
We can say it in with the bills and the acts and everything, but the bottom line is that it might just be tough for somebody to
Yeah.
help somebody if they're struggling.
Yeah.
So let's just get into training and make
Yeah.
things happen.
Yeah. Well, with that too, I also believe that our chance, I think, still stands with maybe the prop tech opportunities.
Yeah.
I think maybe as we need to look more into the prop tech opportunities.
That's true.
And because to get in is quite low, and the market is quite open right now. And maybe then we can come back and look into then buying and investing in other retail or office or stuff like that. So
Yeah. No, yeah.
I think that's what we need to be looking into.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I think if you look at prop tech, is a space that is really taking over. I mean, the models of the Sieves, your Ches Everett and Pam Golding has worked and is still working.
Yeah.
But I think the prop tech will really make is going to turn the industry around.
Yeah.
And I think that's a space that we should all be playing in.
Yeah.
I mean, you know now that they always say that real estate used to be more about location.
Yeah.
And my take, I just got back from Boston a couple of months ago, and the trend now is about timing. So right now, the timing has to do with prop tech,
Yeah.
and that's a space that we should get into.
Yeah.
And that also leads into saying there's opportunities, for example, in the townships,
Yeah.
where, as you know, there are a couple of companies that have gone into the township and using technology,
Yeah.
prop tech,
Yeah.
to actually, if you look at a simple model of the back dwellers,
Yeah.
which we call them Mustang.
Mustang, yeah.
Yeah.
There is actually a Mustang, the company that's helping.
does the funding,
that does the funding for
Yes.
it, yeah.
But,
So,
but there are other companies that
Yeah.
actually have gone and used technology
Yeah.
to tap into is a 10 billion
Rand
rand industry
billion rand industry. Annually.
with no annually
Yeah.
with no formal players.
Yeah.
So
100%, yeah.
that's a space where we should work in. And maybe
Yeah.
if we elaborate more on that, is that the guys that have gone there, and sadly these are not black-owned companies.
Yeah.
So they went to the township and said, "Gogo, we'll help you with your cell phone to get you Miss T, who works at Woolworths, for her to be able to come and rent your
bedroom.
Your bedroom.
Yeah.
And as she pays you the rental, we can see that you're getting a monthly income on a monthly basis. We'll then be able to fund you.
Yeah.
And so that you can be able to build the next and
Yeah.
the next
Yeah.
and the next.
Yeah.
and
So
build the
that was the
portfolio.
model, yeah.
Yeah, so that's the model, and that model is all controlled in the tech space. So you're quite right to say
Yeah.
that that's another opportunity that
Yeah.
we can be able to
Yeah.
get into
Yeah.
as young
And explore it.
entrepreneurs.
And finally, just really as a wrap up, what I just I'm always debating in my mind on whether is policy in terms of policy in the property space. Do you think that it's warm enough in terms of allowing black people to play in that space? Do you think we need a little bit of policy change in a lot of spaces?
Yeah, it's actually quite controversial right now, but I can give my 1 cent's worth to say that we can change some policies. But we need to be careful. Okay, I mean, one of the things that I heard it was that we're looking at, for example, saying that we want to say to black estate agents that they must not audit their financials because they don't have money to get auditors. it's something that I need to apply my mind and get to know more about exactly that type of a policy, how they want to change it. But that will also bring a danger into black businesses where we're going to end up being in trouble because we are not being audited. So I think as entrepreneurs that we need to then find a way to say, how do we then become creative to be able to get some kind of bootstrapping money so that we can have some kind of money to get auditors. So
to get order, otherwise you'll have a cowboy business going on,
exactly. So I'm not crushing that, but I'm just saying that we just need to see how that will be done and understand it. I'm sure there will be a roadshow that we can all understand. So to answer your question, there are some kind of other policies that can happen, but I just think, in my humble thinking, is that we can go as far as saying to, at least from the EAB point of view, and remember that's that's just one part of real estate, which then sells houses. But if I was a board member of the EAB or a chairperson, I will put on the table to say, why can't we say, before you renew a Fidelity Fund certificate, show us your BE scoring. So in South Africa, if you look at the mining sector, if you're from Russia or you're from somewhere, they want to for you to get a mining license, you need to comply. Let's say it's 26 plus 1 or whatever the requirement are for BE. Why can't we do that with the SEEF, the PEM holding of this world, to say, show us a BE certificate that you are empowered before we can give you a Fidelity Fund certificate for this year. Again, it's quite controversial,
it is.
But those are some of the things that we must start looking at if we then want to push transformation in a very serious manner.
In a radical manner.
But again, I think we need to all chat further about it and see how we can meet each other halfway.
While we're still on that, I still can't understand when you look at all these funding institutions, right? There's funding institutions for all types of businesses, but not a lot for property from the government point of view. I think there was there used to be one. I just can't recall now what it was called. I think it was something property fund. But anyway, there was one, I forgot now what the name is, but I still don't understand if really transformation and in terms of, to be precise, property investment. I don't understand why we don't have a dedicated institution that looks into maybe funding black people, into buying or investing into former buildings that are owned by either public works or any of the other institutions.
It's quite interesting. I mean, the reason was that property it's a very big asset, and generally, you can come as Rali and want funding for a 600 or a billion rand transaction, and it might be difficult to then empower a lot of people, But I think so that's why a lot of people government are staying away from funding property transactions in that manner. But however, government is also doing their part in terms of, you have agencies like your Gauteng Enterprise,
GPF, I think. It was Gauteng Property Fund.
They're still there.
Gauteng Property Fund,
They're still there. Yes.
Okay.
So you can go there and say, look, I've got a building here in Sandton that I got it on an auction, I want to renovate it, I want to do social housing, they'll be able to help you. You've got institutions like SHRA, which is the South African social housing institution or something like that, and they can give you funding for you to be able to do property development in the social housing space. You have, I think it's called the JOSCO.
JOSCO, yes. Operates a lot in the CBD.
Yes. So they're there to also do some kind of funding. So there are some kind of funding institutions that are still there. Again, we're in the age where we must Google and just check. They still, But I will always say to up-and-coming entrepreneurs who say, don't expect any funding. If you get it, it will be a plus. But find a way to say, how do you bootstrap yourself into becoming an entrepreneur? And that might just work for you,
No, 100. Thank you very much. I mean, this was very insightful. I wish we could talk the whole day, because I'm very passionate about property and where it's going. And but thank you for taking your time and coming and blessing us with your presence. And hopefully we'll see you again.
Okay, thank you.
Boss. Sure.
Okay, man.
Please remember to hit us up on all social media platforms, on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, all under Property Love. And also connect with us and send us an email on info@propertylove.co.za.